What's up guys, it's Bailey with the bad lighting. So I'm just gonna try to keep this as brief as possible because this is, I think, going to be a more involved video. So if you're here because you're interested in the WAG dog walking app. In this video, I'm going to tell you what exactly the sign-up process entails and consists of. I'm also going to tell you how you can maximize your profits, and I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the things that I like about working for WAG and the things that I don't like about working for WAG. WAG is an on-demand dog walking app, and it's convenient for dog walkers and pet owners because it makes it easy for the two to connect. So what you probably are really interested in knowing is just how much money you can make with WAG. This isn't the answer that you probably want to hear, but it really depends on you. It depends on how much time that you are willing or able to put into walking dogs. It also significantly depends on what area you're in. If you're not in a big city or near a big city with a lot of dog owners, then it might be a little harder for you to get walks. I'm personally blessed to live in an area with a lot of dog owners, so I can pretty much make $100 or more a day. I have made $500 in 1 week, and I do not work every day. Basically, if you put in like 12 hours a day and have a consistent stream of walks, you could easily make over $100. Moving on, if walking dogs on WAG is something that appeals to you, pay close attention to everything that I'm going to tell you because it is going to help the process be so much easier for you. Okay, so let's start with the sign-up process. The first thing that you do when you want to work for WAG is you take a little assessment that they give you. I don't remember it being too long. I don't think it was necessarily like super short either, but I don't remember it taking me any more than like 15 or 20 minutes. If you've been around dogs, then it should be a pretty easy quiz for you. And if you haven't been around dogs, then maybe this isn't the job for you. The next thing that you're gonna do is you're just gonna submit like a short little bio. I would recommend to keep it like short and sweet. It really doesn't matter what you put on there, just be like true to yourself. I'm just gonna read you what I have written for mine in case you need an example. My name is Bailey, and your dog is bound to be my new best friend when we meet. Ever since I was young, I've had a passion for animals that has never waned. I've been raised around all types of animals and am familiar with the unspoken subtleties of communicating with these creatures. Dogs warm to me very quickly, and I live for that connection. Short, sweet, to the point. Done. After you submit your quiz and your bio, WAG will let you know if you're going to be moving forward with your application. It really just depends on how you did on your quiz. So after you hear back from WAG and they approve you and you're moving forward, then you're going to continue on to your application, which costs $25, and that just covers the application fee, and they background check you. You also are going to have the option to pay $5 for the shipping of your WAG shirt. So after you do your application, then WAG is going to ask you for verification of your identity and just like a picture of you. All that consists of is they're just going to ask you to provide them with your social security number, a picture of your ID, and a selfie. They'll be sending you emails, so you want to make sure that you're regularly checking your emails if you want the process to move forward faster, because it is everything like kind of happens in series. After everything comes back clear with your ID and your picture, you just have to sign an agreement. I would definitely recommend reading it. I would like to tell you that your experience with WAG is going to be smooth sailing, but I just don't think that would be the truth. So I would recommend that you read everything. I mean, you should read everything before you sign it anyways, but I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you go through and read anything that they send you. After they review you and approve you, they will send you an email with instructions on how to download the WAG Walker app and how you can get started walking dogs. So before you start taking your first walks, some optional gear that might help you out would just be like some leashes that you like to use, or definitely poo baggies. Usually owners will provide leashes, collars, bags. but sometimes they don't have poo bags, and I ran into a couple cases, oddly enough, where I was requested to walk a dog and then I showed up and they didn't have a collar or they didn't have a leash. Stuff happens. So those can be useful to have, but they are extra expenses and they're not necessary. You also might want like a portable phone charger. I keep one with me all the time. Another thing that you should know before you start taking your first walks is WAG is scored. So you have your WAG rating and then you have an internal rating. It's confusing. So the first rating or score is just, your average rating from customers you've walked for. The internal score is a bit more complicated and has something to do with the number of covers you request, which is like walks that you've dropped, versus like how many total walks you've taken and what your review rating is. Okay, so with that in mind, you want to do your absolute best from the very, very beginning. If your score drops below a 4.75, you will get a notice from WAG saying that you have 30 days to bring your score back up, or you will be kicked off of the app and you will never be able to walk dogs with WAG again. So, in order to ensure you get a good rating and that everything goes smoothly, before you request a walk, check the date, the time, and the location. I cannot tell you how many times I requested a walk thinking that it was for a certain day or time, or, just didn't pay attention to the location, or maybe it said the walk was closer than it really was, and I ended up having to drop it. So that sucks because that counts against you. After you receive the walk, you also want to immediately check the walker's notes before you forget. After every time you walk a dog, you have an option to write notes into the dog's profile for other walkers to see. And this is extremely helpful for dogs that you've never walked before, because then you can get a general idea of how the walk is going to go. The best dogs are like, oh my gosh, they're so sweet. Parking is, right on the street. The owner was home, or, the lockbox was easy to find. Those are the good notes that you want to see. If you see notes that say anything about the dog being aggressive, or it taking a really long time to get them leashed up, or just anything about them being excessively difficult, just drop it. It's not worth your safety and it's not worth your time. Unfortunately, there's no way for you to know, if you've never walked that dog before or never picked up that dog, there's no way for you to know that it's going to be a difficult dog. So you just have to take the hit on that one. So you've picked up a walk, you're about to go on your walk. Make sure that you bring poop bags, especially if you don't know the owner usually provides them. You always want to have poop bags. I can't tell you how many times I've been without poop bags and just didn't know what to do. Usually you can be lucky and find some like poop stations, doggy waste stations somewhere, and just like grab some bags. Whenever I see those, I just like stock up, even if I'm not walking a dog. Also, it's really helpful to bring some sort of like a light bag. I use a fanny pack. So my mom got this for me as a gift because, I'm a dog walker, and she thought this would be really helpful for me, and it is. I usually put like my doggy, yeah, here they are. I put my like poo bags in the front pocket, and then I'm able to like put my battery charger in here with my cord, and I have like a spot to tuck my phone away so I can have my hands free. And the best part about it is if I want to have my hands free, I usually will like take the fanny pack off and hook the leash through, so that way when I clip it onto my waist, I have the dog physically clipped to my body, and I don't, if I drop the leash or if they like take off, they're connected to me, so they're not going anywhere. I would highly, highly, highly recommend something like this. At the very least, you probably want some sort of bag or, like pockets, so that way you can have your phone put away somewhere and not have to deal with holding bags and holding a dog and holding your phone. It's just a lot. While you're on your walk, take lots of pictures. When you finish your walk, you're going to have to submit a report card, and you always have to put a picture on the report card. So there's been a few times where I've just had like really crappy pictures of like the road or like my hands or something because I didn't take any pictures on the walk, and then when I brought the dog back, their owner was home and I just didn't really get an opportunity to like take a picture of them. So yeah, that doesn't look good. I mean, that just, you want your report card to look like really amazing. Like the owner wants to see like a really cute picture of their dog and, you know, like have a nice review or like description of what happened on the walk. And the nicer that your report card looks, the more likely you are to get a 5-star review and a nice tip, and you might just become a preferred walker. Another thing to help you get 5-star reviews and preferred walker status is sending videos. When you're on the walk, you have an option to send videos, just like short little clips. And I just usually, I mean, it's pretty boring, but I think people probably like it because they can just see that their dog is having a good time and like behaving, and you know, people just like to see their pets, and it makes it more interactive for them. So even if it's just like, even if we're just like walking and it's like this like most super boring video, I'll send it to them. Whenever I hit like a scenic spot in the walk, if there's like a cool park, or if the light is shining really cool, or if we're by the water, or they're doing something really cute, I'll usually like try to pull my phone out and get like a cool video of that too, just because it's like a little something extra. Also, I should have said this first, but owners will write instructions on the walk when you accept it. Make sure that you review those when you get there, and it should pop up for you, like when you arrive at the walk, you should like see instructions and access notes and that kind of thing. Make sure you just review those closely, and sometimes I even like to pull them up like at the beginning of my walk, like while I'm walking, even if I've already read them like 2 or 3 times, just to make sure that I didn't miss anything, because sometimes dogs have, you know, special things about them. They might be leash aggressive, they might be shy of other dogs, they might startle easily, there might be certain roads that owners don't want you to walk on. You know, so you want to pay attention to those notes and those instructions, because if you mess up those instructions, that could cost you a 5-star review or a tip. So you've taken Fluffy out for a walk and you've brought them back, you're finishing the walk up. After your walk, you want to make sure that you upload the best picture that you've taken for the report card. It doesn't, you know, usually, like I said, I try to get a really good picture of the dog just because, like, I don't know, I'm like that. Sometimes you just don't really get the best picture, and or maybe you're walking multiple dogs and it was hard to get them into one picture, and I'll just like have a picture of them like standing next to each other walking, and you know, it's whatever. Not every picture is going to be amazing, but usually, you know, the owners don't care that much. But when you can get a good one, it's just like that little extra something that you can give the, you know, owner. Then you're going to want to write a quality report card. You want to touch on the highlights of the walk, and you also want to touch on anything else that you feel was important. And that is completely at your discretion. But some of the things that I touch on are just like maybe what area we went to, if they were moving kind of slow, or if they did anything kind of weird or concerning. If they went poo, I always say, you know, they went poo and how many times. And this might be kind of gross, but I always say like how the poo looked. Like, did it look healthy and like solid, or like do they look like they, you know, was it kind of like soft, or, you know, you always want to describe that, because that's a huge indicator of, you know, their dog's health, and you know, they may not even really get to see their dog's poo. Another thing that I like to add into my report card, in addition to just like some highlights of the walk and how things went, is, you know, I actually read this in r/wagwalker. There's a forum that I really like, r/wagwalker on Reddit, and there's so much useful information on there, and I thought this was a really great idea because I got a couple of 4-star reviews, and I couldn't understand like why I didn't get 5-star reviews. Since I've been doing this, I haven't gotten a 4-star review. So always ask them to leave you a 5-star review. You know, they may not understand or like know that their rating affects you so much, but they're, especially when you first get on the app, because you don't have that many walks and you won't have that many ratings, their rating is huge. You need and want 5-star reviews. So you can just kind of say, you know, tips are always appreciated, but, you know, the best tip is a 5-star review. Or you can just say, like, the best tip is a 5-star review. And they'll give you a 5-star review. So I'm just going to give you a quick example of how I write a report card usually. Everyone does it differently. You shouldn't stick to like one formula, but generally my report card sounds something like this. Fluffy and I had a great time. We went to the park and enjoyed the weather. Fluffy didn't want to go home. Fluffy went pee and poo, and everything looked healthy. I love Fluffy so much. His little ears are so cute, the way they do that flopping thing, or, you know, something to that effect. Now I'm just going to tell you some tips on how you can make the most out of your time and money on WAG. My first tip to you is prioritize 1-hour walks over any of the other walks. Even though you don't get paid as much for an hour walk as if you would take like 3 20-minute walks or 2 30-minute walks, it's more worth your time because you're only driving to one walk, you're leashing up 1 or 2 or 3 dogs depending, but 1 dog, and then you're just bringing back and writing a report card for 1 dog. All those additional things take time, and sometimes there's unforeseen issues like traffic or a dog that might be more difficult to leash up. And so it's really, honestly, it works out better to just prioritize 1-hour walks. You will make more money that way than if you're taking smaller walks and having to like dash between them. Also, if you see a walk that has multiple dogs, that should be your priority, because it is more worth your time to walk multiple dogs because you get paid an additional $3 for every extra dog. So definitely go for walks with multiple dogs. Just so you know, the base pay for walks, I believe, is $9 for a 20-minute, $12 for a 30-minute, and $18 for an hour. If you have multiple back-to-back walks booked in a day, I would highly suggest showing up to the first one 30 minutes early. You're allowed to start the walk 30 minutes early. So WAG gives you a 30-minute window before and after that you can start the walk. I would never suggest being late because you will be penalized for being late, and if you are too late, they will cancel the walk and send another walker and consider it a no-show. So I always try to start like back-to-back walks as early as possible, so that way I don't end up being like really late or missing a later walk. My other tip for you is just don't request covers. Like, emergencies happen, life can be hectic, sometimes things are just out of your control, but unless you absolutely have to, do not request covers. 1, that's money that you could be making. 2, it could affect your ability to get walks in the future, so you don't want to do that. Also, it's really inconvenient for the pet parent, and usually they understand like stuff happens, but if you have to request covers for them all the time, you just look unreliable to them, and you probably won't get preferred walker status, which is really important because preferred walkers get notified for requested walks before anybody else does. So you have first pick of that walk. So sometimes it can be kind of hard to grab a walk because like there will be a lot of walkers trying to request that walk. So unless you live in an area with a high volume of walks, it could be kind of difficult to pick one up, and you may have to like sit on the app and request a lot before you get one. So it's really great when you're a preferred walker because that means that you can just like pick up that walk and pretty much instantly be guaranteed that you're going to get it, unless you're like vying for the walk with like other preferred walkers. This kind of goes hand in hand with not requesting covers, but another big thing is to just be consistent. The volume of walks that you get obviously plays a huge part in how much money that you're gonna make, but really like care about each of your individual clients, and especially ones that you have that are repeat clients, and especially the ones that set you as preferred walkers, because even if they're never there when you go to walk their dog, or even if you don't even really talk to them, which I suggest that you try to send them messages and stuff and just see how they respond, you're building a relationship with them. They're allowing you into their home, and they're trusting you with their dog, and they're paying a lot of money for it. So, they're paying attention to how you write your report card, and when you show up, and how long you walk their dog for, and how far you walk their dog for. They're paying attention to all these things. They definitely are paying attention when you request covers. So just try to be consistent, be on time, don't request covers, and try to keep a line of communication open with the pet parent. Mind your P's and your Q's, that's all I can say. So here's a few pros and cons about working for WAG. So I'm just going to tell you some of the things that I personally like and don't like. So we're going to start with the pros. So one of the great things about WAG is that it instantly connects you with clientele. Otherwise, it can be kind of hard to establish yourself as a dog walker or pet sitter with no experience or no clientele. So that's like instant access right there, no matter where you go. Another great thing about WAG is that it's fairly decent pay, all things considered. Oh my god, no, and how can I forget dogs? Like, you're working with dogs, so I love dogs. I'm such a dog person. So that's like the best part about working for WAG is like you get to like play with a bunch of cute dogs and like make a bunch of dogs' days, like dogs. You're getting paid to exercise too. Like, you're walking. A lot of times I'll walk like, I can walk like 10 miles a day. On those $100 days, I could walk like even more than 10 miles. So you're walking a lot. Sometimes you can even like run with the dogs. Now I'm going to move on to the cons. Oh boy. When you work for WAG, you're only getting about like 60% of whatever is being paid. So you're like barely making over half, of the price of whatever service. And I get that WAG has to take their bit too, but I do feel like that percentage is a little, I don't know, whatever. Another thing, I kind of already talked about this, you can't know if a dog is aggressive till after you've already picked up the walk, and then you're penalized for requesting a cover for it. I wish there was a way that you could see what other walkers have said about the dog before you pick it up, but that's just not how the app is, and WAG makes it easy for aggressive dogs to stay on their app. So they don't really care about the walkers too much. They just care about, the clients paying them money. Another thing I don't like about WAG is that it can be hard to make a lot of money unless you're in the city, in which case it can be easy to make a lot of money if you put the work and the time in. But it's really dependent on where you are. So if you're not near a city or in a city, good luck. Communication with owners is pretty minimal. You used to be able to talk to owners like through text, and your number would be like scrambled or something somehow through WAG, so they didn't have like your real phone number. But I think a lot of like scammy kind of stuff started happening that way, and so they introduced the in-app chat, which owners don't respond to as much because people don't like notifications on their phone, but people usually get notifications for their text messages. So I've noticed less communication since they introduced that feature, and I don't like that because sometimes I'm like, I need to talk to them or would like to talk to them, and I'm just kind of in the dark, like, well, this isn't something that I can really ask WAG about or want to ask WAG about, but they're not responding to me. And the last con is WAG's rating system. They're super uptight about their ratings and your score, and just like one bad review could drop you down a lot. So it's something that you wouldn't have to deal with really like working independently. WAG's rating system sucks. I definitely stress about my ratings more than I should, and that might just be like a personal thing, but I don't know. I hate it. I just hate it. Eventually, you may end up wanting to just go independent from WAG. And if you're a good WAG walker and you have a lot of repeat clients or people that you have established a good relationship with, they may end up even just like asking you to walk for them outside of the app. I'm not gonna suggest that you do that, but you may end up wanting to because you end up not liking WAG, and there's nothing against starting your own independent business from WAG. Another thing, if you do get a bad review, I think it has to be 3 stars or under. I don't think they usually take down 3-star reviews, but if you get like a 1 or 2 star review, you can ask WAG support for their like it's like a form. They send you like a form and you write down the date of the walk or sitting, the time, and the name of the dog, and then your reason for disputing the review. And you have to do it within 30 days of receiving it. So if it's older than 30 days, they're going to leave it up. So pay attention to your reviews, like check them daily. Alright, so that concludes my video. I hope you found it helpful. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. Also, feel free to drop some comments down below. If you have any other questions about WAG, I'm more than willing to answer any of your questions. Alright, this has been a really long video, so I'm just gonna cut this off now. Peace out, guys.